there, broke into the Apollo Gallery, breaking through the windows, maybe using the small chainsaws which they had to break in.
The world was left in shock when news broke that Napoleon's priceless jewelry was stolen right from the heart of the Louvre in Paris. In broad daylight, armed thieves broke into the museum, making off with ancient jewels that had been preserved for centuries. But who's really behind this audacious heist? Let's break it down. The sacred heist. On what should have been just another typical Sunday morning in Paris, one of the most audacious and meticulously orchestrated museum heists in modern history unfolded at the world's most iconic cultural institution, the Louvre Museum. This wasn't some fictional Hollywood thriller or a scene from a Pink Panther movie. This was real, this was brazen, and this happened just hours ago on October 19th, 2025. Picture this: the Louvre, which attracts millions of visitors annually, had just opened its doors at 9 a.m., welcoming tourists from around the globe eager to witness centuries of artistic and historical treasures. But at approximately 9:30 a.m., something unprecedented was about to shatter the morning calm in one of the museum's most opulent spaces, the Galerie Napoleon, a lavish hall renowned for its spectacular decorations and priceless historical artifacts.
They broke in on the Seine River side of the museum using a goods lift. Now, it's not clear to me whether this goods lift was inside the building or whether it was on the outside of the building, temporarily installed because there's renovation work there. In any case, they used this lift to go up to the first floor. There, broke in to the Apollo Gallery, breaking through the windows, maybe using the small chainsaws which they had to break in.
Three hooded or masked individuals approached what should have been an impenetrable fortress with surgical precision. These weren't opportunistic criminals stumbling upon a lucky break. No, these were professionals who had clearly done their homework, studied the layout, and waited for the perfect moment to strike. They exploited a crane or basket lift, possibly a lift truck positioned near a construction zone adjacent to the Seine River, to gain access to an upstairs window in the renovation area that was currently undergoing partial work. Once elevated to their target height, they smashed through the window with brutal efficiency, bypassing all the standard entry points and security checkpoints that would normally stop any would-be thief in their tracks. But here's where this story becomes even more remarkable, and frankly, more disturbing. The entire operation, from entry to escape, lasted a mere 4 to 7 minutes. 4 to 7 minutes. Let that sink in for a moment. In less time than it takes most of us to brew our morning coffee, these criminals had infiltrated one of the world's most famous museums, smashed display cases, stolen priceless artifacts, and vanished into the Parisian morning. Armed with chainsaws or similar cutting devices, they systematically shattered the reinforced glass display cases that housed the French crown jewels collection, a subset of artifacts intimately linked to the Napoleonic era. These weren't just pretty baubles or expensive accessories. These were pieces of history itself, items commissioned during the reigns of Napoleon I and Napoleon III, symbols of imperial power and French grandeur that had survived revolutions, wars, and centuries of tumultuous history. What was stolen and the aftermath? Now, let's talk about exactly what these audacious thieves managed to steal, because the details of this heist read like a shopping list from a historical treasure trove. The stolen items specifically comprised 9 pieces from the jewelry collection associated with Napoleon Bonaparte and his empresses, including the legendary Josephine, Marie-Louise, and Eugénie. We're talking about a necklace adorned with diamonds and pearls, a brooch featuring intricate goldwork and gemstones, a tiara symbolizing imperial grandeur, and most notably, the crown belonging to Empress Eugénie, wife of Napoleon III.
There were a number of very, very valuable items of jewelry there, particularly ones belonging to the Empress Eugénie, who was the wife of Napoleon III, who ruled France between 1850 and 1870. Among those items are some which are quite well known, with diamonds and other items of jewellery in them, diadems and a crown and so on. And if those have gone, then that is a big deal.
These pieces aren't merely ornamental. They embody the neoclassical aesthetics of the early 19th century, incorporating powerful motifs like eagles, laurels, and bees, symbols that represented Napoleonic power and an imperial legacy that shaped the course of European history. Here's something fascinating, though. The thieves left behind the gallery's most prominent gem, the 140-carat Regent diamond, diamond, a massive stone set in a historical context. Why? Perhaps it was too cumbersome, too heavily secured, or simply too recognizable to move quickly on the black market. The total monetary value of the stolen items remains undisclosed by authorities, but experts who have studied similar artifacts estimate they could fetch tens of millions of euros on the black market, though honestly, their cultural significance renders them absolutely priceless. But here's a peculiar twist in this already bizarre story. The crown of Empress Eugenie was discovered broken and discarded near the museum premises shortly after the heist. Was it damaged during the escape? Was it abandoned because it slowed them down? Or was it deliberately left as some kind of diversion tactic? These are questions investigators are racing to answer. The escape itself was executed with the same lightning speed as the entry. After grabbing the jewels, the perpetrators fled the scene on motorbikes or scooters, heading toward nearby roadways such as the A6 motorway.
They then very quickly got out, down the lift presumably, and onto two scooters, or one scooter, scooters in any case, and were seen making a way down towards the south of Paris and out on the motorway that way, towards the motorway that leads out of Paris that way.
This mode of getaway allowed them to blend seamlessly into Paris's notoriously busy traffic, making immediate pursuit nearly impossible. Remarkably, no shots were fired, and no one was injured during the incident, but the sudden commotion triggered absolute panic among visitors and staff alike. Terrified tourists and museum employees were evacuated from the premises as alarms, though reportedly compromised, eventually sounded. Eyewitnesses described scenes of pure chaos, with people rushing out of the museum entrances, some capturing the surreal moment on their phones amid shouts, confusion, and the piercing wail of emergency sirens. The investigation and what happens next. So what went wrong? How could one of the world's most secure museums be breached so easily? Well, the answer reveals a series of catastrophic security lapses that investigators are now scrambling to understand and address. Here's the shocking truth. The Apollo Gallery's alarm systems and video surveillance had been offline for several weeks following a cyber attack in July 2025, leaving critical vulnerabilities completely unaddressed during the ongoing renovations. This downtime meant that real-time monitoring was severely limited, essentially allowing the thieves to operate with dramatically reduced risk of immediate detection. The renovation work itself provided perfect cover, as construction equipment and restricted access points weren't being guarded with the same rigor as public areas.
Well, I mean, it goes without saying that, the place is an extremely elaborate system of protection. I mean, there are guards there and electronic alarms, and I'm sure all sorts of things. It's interesting that the break-in happened, though not overnight, which is when most of these robberies take place. Robbers infiltrating under the cover of night and so on. This was brazen. This was when there were people about. This is when it had opened. But I guess they imagined they could do it sufficiently quickly that they could get in and out before being stopped. And I suppose that this. Well, I imagine, but I'm speculating here that this renovation work might have allowed them access that they would not otherwise have been able to have if they could get up on a special lift that was there.
In the immediate aftermath, the Louvre issued a statement on its official channels, announcing a closure for the day due to exceptional reasons, initially avoiding specifics about the theft to prevent hampering the investigation. However, French Culture Minister Rachida Dati quickly confirmed the robbery via social media, assuring the public that no injuries occurred and that authorities were actively mobilizing a comprehensive response. The Paris Police Prefecture has classified the incident as organized theft and criminal conspiracy, reflecting the undeniably professional nature of this heist and confirming what investigators already suspected. This wasn't some spontaneous act of desperation, but rather a meticulously planned operation, possibly months in the making. The investigation is being led by the Paris Police Prefecture, with critical support from specialized units, including the Central Office for the Fight Against Trafficking in Cultural Goods, a dedicated agency with extensive experience in handling art and heritage crimes of this magnitude. Interpol has been alerted, recognizing the very real likelihood that these items could be smuggled across international borders for sale on the shadowy international black market, where demand for such extraordinary rarities remains disturbingly strong. Police are conducting intensive searches along possible escape routes, including the A6 motorway south of Paris, where the thieves were last reported heading on their scooters. The suspects themselves remain at large, described as 3 masked or hooded individuals, likely men, who demonstrated an exceptional level of coordination and expertise expertise. The precision of their movements, the speed of execution, and their apparent familiarity with the museum's layout has led investigators to seriously consider the possibility of an inside job. Someone with intimate knowledge of the security systems, renovation schedules, and the exact location of the most valuable pieces. This isn't just about stolen jewelry. This is about the theft of irreplaceable pieces of French imperial history, artifacts that connect us to Napoleon Bonaparte's legacy and the grandeur of France's imperial past. Historical precedents like the famous 1911 Mona Lisa theft, which was recovered after 2 years, offer some hope. However, more recent cases, such as the 2019 Dresden Green Vault heist where items remain missing, serve as sobering reminders of the challenges ahead. As this investigation unfolds in real time, one thing is absolutely certain. The world is watching, waiting, and hoping that these priceless symbols of French heritage will be recovered and returned to their rightful place in the Louvre, where they belong. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.